Okay, so we're going to pick up from where we left off in the previous video where we worked on question 2. So in that question, we entered the lengths in centimeters of our 10 lizards and then used formulas in Excel to calculate the mean, median, mode, and standard deviation. So what we need to do in this question 3 is think about how we could describe the mean, median, mode, standard deviation if instead we used units of inches. So one way that we could do this is convert each of these lengths from centimeters to inches and then find these same statistics, mean, median, mode, standard deviation using the same formulas in Excel. So let's think about doing it that way first. So here what I've got is lengths in inches. So I'm going to enter that in cell B1. And what I could do is in the calculator on the side, convert the centimeters to inches. So if 1 centimeter is 0.4 inches, that means 2 centimeters is 2 times 0.4 inches. And for each of these measurements in centimeters, I convert to inches by multiplying by 0.4. So I could take the 5.3, multiply that by 0.4, and then type that value into Excel in cell B2. But Excel does a bunch of calculations for us, so why not have Excel do the conversions for us? So I'm going to tell Excel, here I am in cell B2, over here. I'm going to begin by entering the formula equals, take the measurement that's in cell A2, you can see that's now highlighted in blue, multiply that by 0.4 to convert 5.3 centimeters into inches, and we see that that is 2.12 inches. So what this cell is, the formula on this cell is telling us is take the value in cell A2, which happens to be one cell to the left of where I'm entering this formula, and multiply it by 0.4, and out comes the output there. And I could repeat, enter again the formula equals the contents in A3 times 0.04 and do this over and over and over again. Or we could copy the formula that I entered into cell B2 and paste it into cell B3 and then into B4 and so on. So over here, I've highlighted a couple of ways that we can copy and paste in Excel. So one way is to use the home ribbon. And so in Excel, when we click on these different ribbons on the top, we get different options of things that we can do. So from the home ribbon, this is like the greatest hits, the most common things that we do in Excel. We can see there's a button for copy, button for paste. So I could click on cell B2, copy the contents there, click on cell B3 where I want to paste that formula and click paste. And what happens in cell B3, when I double click on that, I could see that it took the formula that was in one cell above and it pasted it down here. And what that formula says to do is take the contents one cell to the left, multiply by 0.4. Okay, so notice what happens when I copied this formula. It took this cell reference A2, and because I pasted this formula down one cell, it shifted this cell reference down one cell, and it shifts, so now it says A3. So this is what happens when we copy and paste formulas. It's going to shift the cell references that are in the formula relative from where we copied it to where we pasted it. And since I pasted this one cell down from where we copied it, every cell reference in the formula that was in the original formula gets shifted one cell down when I paste it into cell B3. Okay, so that is a really nice feature. There are, like in most applications, many ways that we can copy and paste. So we could use keyboard shortcuts, and those vary depending on whether you've got a Mac or a PC. So I'll just kind of leave that aside. If you like using keyboard shortcuts, the same sorts of things that you're used to using in other applications probably work in Excel. And another nice way to do this is what's called the click and the drag method. So if I line up and click on cell B3 where the formula is, and what I'd like to do is paste that down to all of these cells over here. So if I click on cell B3 and I move the pointer carefully into the lower right corner, we can see that the pointer now has become a black plus sign. And now if I'm going to click, hold the click button down and drag the pointer so that we've outlined all of the cells we want to paste this to, and then let go of the click. And now it's copied the formula from the first cell that I clicked on and pasted it down to all of the cells that I outlined below. And in each of these cells, the formula which says take the cell over one cell to the left and multiply it by 0.4 has been pasted over. So now we've converted all of these lengths from centimeters into inches. And now we're going to calculate these same formulas. So over here, these were the calculations of mean, median, mode, standard deviation in centimeters. I can do the same thing in inches. So remember the mean, it's a formula, so we start with equals, and I type average, left parenthesis, highlight the cells that I want to calculate the average of, right parenthesis, out is going to come the average in inches. What we could do is take this formula that we entered in cell D3 for the median, and instead of entering the median formula again, we could copy this, come over to cell E3 and paste it. And what it did is it took all of because I pasted this formula one cell to the right, it took the cell reference from the first formula, which was everything in A, and shifted it one cell to the right, so it picks up on all of the lengths in inches. And that gives us now the median value when we did the measurements, converted the measurements to inches. And I could take this and copy, and I could take this and paste it over there. And I could do the click drag method as well. So I could take this, paste it over here. And so now we can see that all of these calculations have been done in inches. The standard deviation formula, I still use this for a sample, is now using the values that were done in inches. Okay, so we can observe something that when we converted from centimeters to inches, we took each of these values and multiplied by 0.4. And notice over here that if I were to take the mean that was done in centimeters and multiply that by 0.4, that converts, that gives me the exact same answer that we got when we converted each of the individual measurements into inches and then found the average of all of those. So we see a nice connection that when we multiply each of the values in the data set by a fixed number, 0.4, to convert it from centimeters to inches, what happens to the mean is that mean gets multiplied by that same conversion of 0.4. The same goes for the median. So we can see that for the median, I would take cells D3 and multiply by 0.4, and that gives us the median in inches. And for the mode, I could take the contents in cell D3, which was the mode when we did it in inches, and convert that into, the mode that was done in centimeters, and convert that into inches by multiplying that by the conversion 0.4. And let's see what happens for the standard deviation. If I were to take the standard deviation and multiply that by 0.4, we can see that also converts the standard deviation. It changes the units. So again, the point here is that there are different ways that we could have done this. Probably the most straightforward way is to take each of these lengths in centimeters, convert each of them into units of inches, and then calculate the mean, median, mode, standard deviation using those measurements in inches. But we also observed over here that a shortcut for doing that calculation would be to take the mean and multiply it by that conversion, and that's going to give me the new mean in inches. And that holds for the other statistics of median, mode, and standard deviation.